Hey all, just wanted to drop a short video, actually the first on the channel. But now with the people coming from AppSumo for ZeroWork, it's a lot more action coming into the Discord group, and just wanted to kind of show some things that I see are the biggest questions right now, and most of that is for your actual CSS selectors and how you use loop indexes, stuff like that. So just wanted to kind of show you how I find selectors. I do have some tools, but 99% of the time I am going to do them manually, and that's going to actually work better a lot of times. There's some reasons for that, though. It does take some time to work through and understand how they work. There's a lot of different CSS selector type things that you can actually find. I've learned a lot through CSS just by needing to find something. Maybe it's the last one on a list or something like that. I do kind of specialize in the special CSS selector type thing, and understand the logic of ZeroWork as well, their start repeats and stuff like that. So just wanted to go into this. My background is in web design, so I do a lot of CSS on websites. I do use WordPress and Divi, but there are a lot of times that the CSS selectors are needed to be used to change something. Maybe it's in one certain thing to make a color of something a different color, or change a background image or something that's just not cooperating. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually talk about, I have two websites here that are a little bit different in a few different things, but will give us a good understanding of how CSS selectors work. So the first thing you always want to do, the most important thing here, how do you find a CSS selector? Sure, I could come up here and use Selectors Hub, and all I need to do is right click Selectors Hub. Maybe, but I'm trying to find a whole list, let's say. I want to find this whole list here. And so I get Selectors Hub, I come over here, I copy the CSS selector, and then let's just see what it brings me. Okay, so it brought me that. Well, in a list, that does not help at all. We could do something like, okay, this is the full row. We want to get the full row information first. We could do that. We'll go with copy our relative CSS selector. And some of these may work better. Let's just try copy CSS selector on this one. And we will go down. And so here's what we have. This actually looks a lot better. Though there's a lot of ways we can make this smaller so it's less likely to fail, and is a much better selector for what you're doing. So the first thing I always do when I'm looking for a selector, right click. I don't really care where it is. Usually I right click closest to what I want to do though, and inspect. Your inspector will come up. Sometimes it'll be on the side if you need to dock it somewhere else. I like mine docked on the bottom like this. It's just easier for me. So what we'll see here is, as you hover over all of these things, you'll see it go to different rows and different selectors, different structure of the HTML. So that helps understanding what the structure is. It would be good just to go ahead and go to different websites. Like, let's say here's one I'm part of. Actually, that's me right there. A little bigger beard and bigger hair right now. But sometimes like this did not show it well. Right click it again and inspect. If you are inspecting in the ZeroWork browser, you always have to right click twice. Right click and do it, and then right click again to get the specific area. But we see like there's the thumbnail for it. I can pull that thumbnail in here. I'd have to find exactly where it is right there. That's the thumbnail, so I can pull that with a save web information block. And then what what else we have here is kind of understanding how these things go down. They are in a hierarchical way, so a lot of times I'll go down, okay, I want to find this whole list of all these together because I want to be able to pull that whole list. Is it right here? No, it's not right here. I can close this down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We kind of see that's a good thing to know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then we have the contents. That's the full row of this. And then this is, and actually maybe this right here. Right here, we have the full contents. Then we have each row there, as you can see. And then within that row, like we just stated, was all the contents of it is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is kind of an overview of like, here's the HTML structure. This is going to show you different things. And these ones in this purplish right here, you can sometimes double click on them and then copy and paste. That one is just like a div. YouTube and some of these use random ones. A lot of what you're going to be using are A's, divs, img for image, H1, H2, H3, P tags for paragraph information. Some of these like this have their own that they've created, like ytd-rich-item-renderer. So that would be just like a div, very close to that. So if you wanted to call that right here, you just basically say that is your CSS selector, and that could be put into a block within ZeroWork. Will that do much? Not really. What will it pull? Who knows, because there's a bunch of these. There's another trick I'm going to show you, and if you are trying to find CSS selectors and understand this, this is one of the most important things you'll need. Other than the inspector, the console, there's this thing you always want to do to check them. It's called, if you start typing document, and then you have it like that, you'll have to press over. If I press enter, it actually tries to run it, and that's not what I want. Document dot query, and you'll see it down here. I think you can click on it as well. Query selector all, and then you want open and close brackets, and within that, I usually do the single like that. You can do that, but you have to use single ones inside of it, anything else if you would want to do it that way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this CSS selector we've just shown, and we'll copy paste that in the middle there. So essentially what this is doing, this says within, it says shady, within the document, and the document would be this whole thing, we are going to query or look for a selector, all the selectors that fit this. That's what it means. So then we can see what is included in that. Okay, so what we can see is 80 of them. We show 80 of them here. What are they? Wow, there's a lot of things I can't even find here. But if you go down this list, we'll start finding them. And you'll just hover over. Okay, so perfect. There it is. These are the things you want right here. Basically, you want 66 down to probably 79 would be my guess. Yep, we want all of those. So that means our CSS selector is not specific enough. So if we look at this, what do we have here that's above it in there? Okay, we have contents. That might be okay. We have some places where the IDs are contents in a couple different spots, but let's try that. There's a couple different ways to do that. An ID, so this would actually be further down the actual hierarchy. So this basically goes from div. There's a couple ways we could do this. An ID, if you wanted to call an ID, you could just call it as contents, like that. What we'd see in our console And a great thing about this right here is if you press up, it'll get the last one you had. So all I have to do is get it there, and then it's really fast right there. I put in contents, YTD. Oh, it gave me the same thing. Okay, that doesn't really work. So we're going to go look for more specificness. One other way you could call it, if it is a class, you can call it, if it's an ID, it's the hashtag or the pound sign. If it is a class, it's going to be a dot. But we can use, and a lot of times what I do, I actually don't do this in web design, but I do this in ZeroWork just so I know what I'm looking at, if it's a div or if it's something else. You put this here, and then you put whatever's in here. So in this case, we have the contents, ID contents, that's what we want. It does the same exact thing. So that would do the same exact thing as hashtag or pound sign contents. Same thing, no difference. I just like to be able to see what I'm looking at. Okay. If we did this, if we put that in there, what that means is the YTD, or sorry, the div contents is followed right next to or right after this right here. So let's see what we get when we do that. That makes it more specific to just the div ID of contents with that specific selector. Let's take a look at what we get. So it does take a bit of understanding. Okay, still 80. Okay, so every time that it has it, that's what happens. So there's some differences I see in here. YTD grid row, which is in there too, so that might not work. But let's take a look. These get a little complicated. Okay, so what else can we do? We have, let's try this right here. So we'll put it in here. So something like that. It goes down to it. It's not exactly after it. Actually, the contents is. Let's see, contents is technically right after it. These CSS build shady don't matter. So if we do that, then it means it should pull this to that one. Let's see what it is. But there may be other places this is used, so it may not pull our specific one still that we need. So this is how I narrow down what I need. I go from the furthest thing out that I want. Obviously, it's going to 80. So if we go, if we delete that out. Okay, now we've gotten down to 34. If we just did that, that one's the same. There are times that that will be different. So sometimes I play with these. Okay, here's what it is. Let's see what we got. We have 34. That's too many, obviously. Okay, so we want just these ones. Normally I would look, okay, where are these other ones coming from? These are kind of hard. You can press on them and see, okay, what is that? I don't actually even know where that is. So, interestingly, we will have to keep looking. So, we have this right here now. You can see we're now kind of on that level. So that pulls us to there. What else? What else might make sense? My contents. Okay. The contents again. Maybe we go up further. Maybe it's in primary. You see that div ID primary? That's totally around everything. It could be this rich grid rich grid renderer. Sorry. Let's try that. That one is not specifically right before something, so we can't put this on it. So what we'll do is we'll see. Again, it comes in here. Let's see what we get. Let's see if we get any better. Again, I told you these can take long. These aren't just like, oh, pop that thing in there and you're good to go. Because they probably won't work well. Okay, we're still at 34. It's like, where the heck are these things? Maybe something wacky within them. So let's take a quick look again. This is actually not part of that, which is interesting. But the further we go up, we see, okay, this is actually where we want to be when it starts pushing it down to where we're at. Just keep looking. Okay, we're starting to get something. It's probably in this. We see YTD browse. So let's go ahead and put that there. That's even further. But it's a place where those other ones aren't within that hierarchy because they're over here somewhere. Delete console. Press our up button. I'm just going to delete it out and then paste it. Crazy, we still have that. Okay, what's the reason for that? Likely there's a YTD browse up here too, somewhere that they have. Column browse, maybe there's something like that. We want to find the main one, so we want to, let's see, after this. Like I said, this one's kind of hard. It's a little crazy and different. Ooh, there's the header. It's almost like they have it in here twice, which is very strange. Mini player, we can see that sitting there. The content is everywhere, and it's still over this stuff that we don't want. And this is, like I said, this is exactly how I would do it. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but it's going to get you what you need. So I want to see what's under YTD browse. Okay, so there's two things under there, which makes sense because we show two things. Sometimes it won't pop up right away, and you'll have to wait for it. Come on. Okay, there it actually popped up. I don't know why sometimes it takes long. Now you're sitting here waiting for this. Might be my computer, though I think it's actually Chrome. It'll pop that up. So we have, okay, there we go. We have this other one that doesn't show. It is going mighty slow here. Because usually that should take you to the elements here. Took me there finally. That one we don't want. This one we do want. Okay, is there any difference between these ones and that? Well, there is this thing that says home, and there is this thing that says visible role main. I can't guarantee it's, or role main. Can't guarantee it's always going to work, but let's try that. YTD browse, so we can see it's within the YTD browse, and then we put boom, boom, role main. Okay, let's see what we get now. I'm thinking this will work. And we should only have this amount, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm pretty much doing this off the fly. I have done this in the past. I just don't even remember what it was. So I'm just showing you real walkthrough of here's how I do this. This will update. Okay, finally. It's all going very slow. There we go. 14 of them. So this is exactly what you want. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so good. We have our actual thing and our actual item. It's going to be each item. So then we want to be able to, we'll push in there, we want to be able to get, say, the, let's not even do thumbnail yet. Let's just do our heading, the actual title. So it would be you got to kind of run down here. Okay, here we go. Oh, easy. Details. They make this one pretty easy. So if we put details, would be either an ID, or we can do what I like to do, the div ID equals detail. So now we have that. So that's gotten to details. What do we actually want, though? We don't want the full details. Maybe we do, but we want the meta. And oh, boom, easy. H3. H3 would actually give you the A. If you did H3, it should. Actually, you're probably going to do an H3A because there is the actual text from that. So all you need is H3A. Add it on to that. This is going to, but this won't get you every one of them. This will get you to where you want to be for that specific thing. So you'll see what we get here are 14, and they'll all be that video title link. All be that video title link that if we press it, right inside of it will be the text. The text will be right here. You could do ID video title or YT format string, but it should pick that up still. I can't guarantee it, but it should. So more specifically, YT format string would probably be it. But it should, either one should work because that's the text within that. There's no text actually on the A. The text is within this, that's within the A. So there you go. There is that. Okay. So there are two ways of looping through. So we don't want just this one to go over and over and over so we get the same exact title. We want to go, we want to have the 3 every time, the H3A every time, but the first time we wanted to go here, second time here, third time here. That's how we want it to do. That's where what's called loop index comes in. This is something huge you will have to use in ZeroWork. Loop underscore index. And depending on which one we use, it's either 1 or 0, depending on how we use it. It can be further than that. In one case, if it's the normal, the first one's 0, then you want to pull the second one, that'd be 1. In the other case, if it's supposed to be 1, it'd be 2. So let's take a quick look here. The first thing we had was actually we want to be able to get each one of these, but they're kind of weird. Normally we would just do, I want to do the last one right here, and it would be nth child, the child 1, 2, 3, 4, but they run these a little different. They run these a little more complicated, where they actually put each one in a row and then have like 4 of them. Let's see, 4 of them, and then another row, 4 of them. So we need to make sure that each of these ones that have rows that are like 4 of them, and then another 4 here, that they are within ours. And what I see is the rich item renderer is, the rich grid row is. So perfect. So then all we need to do, and this you cannot test with the console. This is specific to ZeroWork. That, and what we do is nth, and I believe it is loop index. And I have to look these up all the time. It might be equals. Have to see. So I go to my creator. Go to the help docs. So I use these help docs quite often. And I don't use this selector too often with this way, this nth loop like this. but there are times in this case there's definite time because they put them on a row and then 4 in the row and then another row and 4 in a row. Sometimes they just list them and they just go all the way down. So then I have to look, okay, using selectors, how to use XPath, no, how to build custom. Okay, incremental. Here's where it will actually show you nth equals that number. As you can see, that's what we used, nth equals, and that number is going to be loop index. What all loop index does is it says on a start repeat, go to 1, go to 2, go to 3, go to 4. After the first one's done, it goes to the next one. That's all it does. It just puts a number in here. And n being the first time it's going to be 1, second time it's going to be 2, third time it's going to be 3. So as you can see, on these ones that use this nth equals this type number, 0 is actually 1. On ones like you'll see, so this would be number 1, this would be number 2. On ones like this that are actually in there, you have to use loop index. I don't remember exactly where it is, but you use a loop index there. So it's going to be our second example. So now what we see, I'm just going to start a real quick one here, a new one, just to show you what'll be pulled in. So, and I'm sorry for the length of the video, they get complicated. I wanted to be fully, have a full video that helps you understand a bunch of different types of things. First part here is we obviously will just go back to menu, we'll create a new task bot. I'll test for YouTube video. Okay, I'm gonna open a link. So all it's gonna do is open my link. I want my link to be this because that's where we're going. Boom, that, save. What it's gonna do is now open link. I don't even need cookies at this point because anybody can see that online. Only cookies if it's a login type thing. I'll stay on page after run, just so you can understand where we're at. So we have that. What do we want to do? We want to get down here and see. Let's save a web element. We're going to create first, create a variable called title video. I don't have a value yet to create variable, so it's going to be right here. So if I wanted to pull one thing, this is quite easy. We've already gotten our thing, but we have to know. Let me pull it up. There we go. And in this case, let's say we only want to do one of these. We don't want this whole thing. We just want the first one. Basically, it's going to be nth-child 1. So essentially what it's picking is the first one in the list and the first of that row. So that's child. So if we put this in here, it should pull the first one. Let's see what it does. And let's see, as I said, that A probably should work, but we'll see. Variables, title of video, save. Okay, so what's going to happen, I'm going to run it. It's going to come up here, and it's basically just going to look. It's going to be done real quick. Okay, done. Okay, so what did it pull? Let's see if it pulled the correct thing. Variables. Yep, pulled that one right there. First one. Boom, done. Okay, but now it's like, well, I want to do it in a loop. Okay, so I want to pull all of them. We always have to do a start repeat to repeat through, and we do the start repeat at the beginning of where we want things to start happening. If I want everything to start to keep being repeated, we put the start repeat at the beginning, not the end, so it knows what to use. Start repeat. What loop? Okay, we know it's 14, but let's do it. We want to do what's called standard still. Dynamic actually uses whatever's in the table. And we want to auto detect number of available elements by the XPath. This is our lead selector. So the lead selector is going to be basically the first one in our list. And that first one in our list is technically going to be this. Sorry, yeah. It is going to be, let's see if that works. This one is kind of a wonky, weird one. So we'll just see. That, very vanilla, that right there. We're not going to have a limit on repetition. What we're going to do, so now it's going to start repeat. We're hoping that it starts to repeat 14 times. We will see how that works, because it should, because if we put in this right here, if we put this into our console again, it should bring out 14 like we had before. Let me refresh this. It's taking forever. Let's see. There. Still loading. Well, I will just say that's what's going to happen. That's what it is right there. There it goes. 14, that's what we want. So all that a start repeat is going to do is tell it how many times repeat. Really does nothing else other than that. So now it's going to do it 14 times. I can tell you that's what's going to happen because that's how it works. Tables, we now want a table because we want each one of those headlines to be put in there. Let's add a table. I'm going to just create a ZeroWork. We're going to go test for YouTube video is what we'll call it. We will just put it as a column name of video title. Add table. Now our table is there with a video title, and that is it. So now we need to loop it through each one of those. Okay, we already have this here. And usually your start repeat will be very similar to your save web element. Like this one is to that item renderer, and then it has the extra stuff here. And then we put in, what did I say? It is nth equals, that's what it is. Sorry, this one I don't use as often, so I just forget it. What we have here, nth equals, yeah. Loop underscore index. And this one uses the 0 as the first one. The other style I'll show you uses the 1. 0. So what it's going to do is each time it goes from the start repeat 1, it goes to 1. Each time it goes to start repeat 2, it goes to 2. And there we're not going to have variables, so we're going to put it into our video title. Let's just see if this works. Okay, we will go ahead and run this real quick. And you'll see stuff happening. You saw a bunch of stuff happen real fast there. Okay, so it probably pulled it. Let's just take a quick look. And it's hard to see. But you can see that's the 28th. That's the 12th. These are all in order. Let's say we had another thing we want to get. We want to get, now it's pretty easy because we've gotten our main selector. We want to get, I just want to get the views. Gonna be down further. It's gonna be YTD video meta block. Metadata. And we might be able to get just one specific thing. So write tons and tons of stuff. Okay, right here. It is not, it is a span. Metadata line. So what I usually do is I copy this, duplicate, and I'm going to put this here. And in here, I'm going to get the views. I'm going to add another one. Call this views. I apologize this being so long, but it is what it is. And then you can move this over if you want. We want to see how many views. We want to see how many title. So what we can do then is we have this. This is even a little more complicated. So we have our div ID metadata line is actually where we want to get. Likely it will be that third one. So what it could be is span. Let's see, I'll show you. The first part, not H3, not A. Is it under details? We could probably see, yes, it's under details. And then it's under the metadata line. So then we're going to put div E, that metadata line. What that's going to pull is this whole line, but that's not what we want. We want just these others. I can't guarantee all these are in every one on every video account, but we'd have to look. So then right after that, we have our span. And so exactly after that, that's what that means, span. And it technically is what's called nth child. Child read. Why is that? I'll show you. We'll take a look, make sure this works. Put it in your console. Up. Pull out all this. Just delete it. You could copy onto the end. Let's see what it gives us. Oh, it gave us 14. That's actually what we want because we want to make sure it's 14 of them. Okay, so you can see it's on views. Why is it the third one? Because it's the third thing. Whether they're all spans or YTD or div, it's the third one there. So it's the nth child, third one. So now, if we ran this, we are going to change that to views. So now I have that. Let's see what it pulls. And it won't take that much longer. You'll see it start doing it. You'll see this move like crazy. Done. That should be all of them. Let's see if it worked. Oh, these weren't deleted from the last run, but that's why. But here you see 28, so 14 of them. Yeah. So what we can do, technically, if we wanted to, is put in a delete data at the very beginning. If we didn't want it, we'll delete all rows, and we'll do that. And let's just run it again. We'll make sure that works. Boom. Okay. Now what you'll see is that, because it deleted everything out. Let's say we wanted to say view without views. There's a couple things, because it could, if there's one, it may say one view and not views. So this is like kind of thinking through things. If we wanted to not say views, if we wanted to just say 16 or whatever, there is a way to do that. What we can do is, there's two ways actually. We can either split the text, because we know it's always going to be blank and then views, or whatever it is, then views, or we could format the data. The format data would be remove words. We could remove, and I'll show you how this works, views or view. And then it should take either data to be formatted. That's going to be here, and that's going to be views. Boom. So let's just see what it does now. Running, I won't even show the screen because we know it just goes to that one page and it goes crazy. Okay. And you can see they just have that. We want to make sure that format data is in here so it does it on each line. right after it gets it. Okay, so what can we do? I told you we can do split text, pretty easy. Test again our views and pop up with this. What selector do we have? Select from a list of standard separators, which in this case it'll work because it's a space. There's a space in between the two. And what we see is, it'll tell us the preview if that information is in here. So I'm just real quick going to run it and we'll show how that works. And this is getting into a lot more. Just wanted to give you like a full overview because I think these are very important things. You'll see we have views here. Now, if we put that split text, which you'll see it's kind of cool. There. And our separator again is our, not comma, space. If you need to, like, let's say I've done it before where it's like CEV exclamation point. You can use that right in here. In URLs, that works well to kill like UTM stuff. Like if there's a UTM on the end of a thing, you could do that and then it would throw it out. And then you could delete after that. So let's go with our space. What'll pop up is this, 16 views. Oh, okay. So I want to save number 1. Easy. 1, select column, views. Boom. So this, in this case, can do the same exact thing. I don't know which way is best or faster, but it does the same thing. I would probably just use split text because there could be something other than that, though it's probably just views. So again, you'll just see that. So there's our first example. That's just to pull every one of them on there. Here's another example. This was actually shared and I thought it was interesting by another user in the Discord, AJ, I believe. Yep. So this one, let's see, he had pulled more, M-O-O-R-E, as the, basically I'll just show you where it goes to. Search form, and he had pulled the county of Moore automatically. So he got this far, so that's great. Got here, searched for that, boom. Okay, so there's a couple things here. This is a little different. One, you can't just take this link because it's JavaScript. It does its own thing. It puts it in here. You would technically have to go into it if you want to pull this information. Go into it and then pull whatever information you wanted. And so I will show a quick way of doing that. So the first thing we want to do, let's just say the first thing we want to do here is we are already here. We want to be able to click on one, go to it, then click on the next one. This one works a little different than the last one. So this last one had them in, we saw a row and then the other stuff, and each one within that row and that, so it gets a little wacky. This one is more straightforward. There you go. This has all those right there. Oh, easy. So we want to be able to go through each of these. Well, first thing we want to do is a TR. TR we obviously have right there. So I'll just press up. It'll still be saved even if you go to another page, as long as you're on your same browser. In the same session, it'll still be saved. And so let's look at our TRs. Oh man, it doesn't have just the 10. It's got 81 of them. So it's got all kinds of crazy stuff. Some of them are within there, right here. Those ones are. Some of them are those, which we don't really want to do. So we need to find a better way to figure out what this is. So what would I do now? Okay, so the first thing, I'm just going to delete this. First thing I'm going to do is write it down, TR. Okay, TR. That's the furthest away. Okay, let's come up a little bit. T-body. I want everything in this T-body. You can see it popped it down. It doesn't have the license number stuff. It just has the information we need. So T-body. Let's go to that. And see what happens. it was right after it, so that's why I'm doing it that way. Oh, we got 77. So these other ones are after it too, but some of them aren't. Like these didn't come up because of that. There's a bunch of other TRs. I don't even know where they are in here. Like you can obviously see they're kind of weird and wacky. They're somewhere. So we want this right here. So we have to go up further than that. What is this? Oh, this is the master table. Let's take a look at what these other ones are. I don't even know what they go to. TR, T-body, table. Table is right. Okay. So if we are table class master, okay. We can probably pull that. We could do W100, but for some reason, or not for some reason, I just feel like that might change or might be different depending on scale of something. I don't know why it's a W-100, though likely the one we're on is not going to change. Table, and this is going to be that. But you can't just do that because it wants to see the full thing and it won't see the W100 and say no thank you. So you have to put that guy on it. So it's just, if it sees this anywhere in all those classes right there, it'll do that. So let's take a quick look. This should work. And we see, boom, 10 of them. So that one was relatively simple. So now we have 10 that we can pull information from, or we can go click them. So what do we want to do? Let's do two things here. First thing, I'm going to just set up one here. Rename these as name this column facility name. Facility name. And then let's pick something we want from the next page that it comes up to. Let's go with email. We got a facility name and an email. As we can see, the facility names, emails on this page, facility names here. A lot of times you could just take this link. But they're, as you can see here, they're JavaScript links. And so if you click on that link, it's not going to do anything here. It doesn't have a regular link because this is all within here. So it does not work to save the link and then go back to that link when it's in our table and then do them all that way. So you have to click, go into it, get the email, come back out, and then do that. And we're only going to do this. It would be much more complicated to do this. We'd have to see how many pages were here. Then we'd have to keep going until we were done each page. But it would all be an internal loop, one loop that does the pages first, and then a loop that does all these in there. So all we need to do here is click this. That's all we want to do. So first off, to get to this page, you actually have to go here, and then we will. So we want to open a link. Boom. Save. Then we want to throw that over there. We'll put more in here. Copy that. And what we can do, there's a couple ways you can do that. I'm just going to use the insert text or data. More. This is going to be, we look for this input name. State, not state. It's going to be something with county, maybe. Okay. So this one, interesting. We'll just do this ID for now. We'll keep it kind of similar. I don't see anything that says county here. Input name, I guess that right there is county, so that should be okay. We'll do it as an input. That. And what that's going to do is insert the text in there, and then all we want to do is click the search right here. It's actually two of them, which is interesting. But in this case, there is better ways to get to these probably, because this might change. Likely not with a site like this, but who knows. And then we're going to click the web element. Not check, sorry. We're going to click. And that's going to be our button. Input it is. So we want to click that input. Go here. Click the input. Boom. Let's see what it does. Let's make sure it gets us to where we want to be. And a lot of times I like to do that. Okay, I'll do a little portion of it, and I'll get there, and I'll keep going. Okay, see if it puts our stuff in correctly. More, and it gets us there. Okay, so now we have that same list. Okay, perfect. So now what we need to do, we know what we had said. This is our loop, essentially. Here, this is the other kind of loop. This is the one I use more often. But there are times like the Facebook one, you saw you had to do it the way I did with the other type of loop index. So now we want to start a repeat. Now we're going to repeat standard, the amount here. Okay. And that's going to be our first one. So we know that. What will happen is how many, there should be 10. So I can even do this and just press play. It won't do anything, but you'll be able to look in the logs and see, did it go to 10 of them? Is that how many it's going to try to do? Tell you, maybe it may not if there's nothing after that loop. That could be the case. Yep. So that would be kind of thing. It won't tell you if there's nothing after it, but if there was something after it, let's just throw remove duplicates. Just do that 10 times. This is all just a test right here to show it. It'll probably do that 10 times would be my guess. Okay, there you go. 10 times, you see. So we don't need that. But what we see now is, obviously there's no duplicates in there, but 10 times. That's what it did. That's the start repeat. It says it counted it 10 times. So that's exactly what we want. So how do we want to then click on, got all that. We want to click on this to go into this page. Okay, this is, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get our click button. Actually, let's save first. We'll save this guy right here. What is that? Okay, that's an A. Looks like every one of these has 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be TD1, TD2. So what we can do here is the TR. Now this is where we would need child 1. If we did end child 1, it would be here. So this is where we could use a loop index. It's a little different than the last loop index. So we have to do that, loop, underscore indexed. You technically could use the other one also. I just use this. And instead of putting 0 on this type, this goes to 1. That's just how this works. So now we're going to go through each one, but what do we want it to save? We don't want it to save everything in here. We want it to save TD2 and the A from it, the information right here. So we want it to be TD and dash child 2, because it's the second one there. So you can have multiple nth childs in here, it doesn't matter. And then we want it to be the A. We want it to save the text. We don't want it to save the link. The link is a bad link. It's a JavaScript, does not work. Let's go ahead and put it in our column. Let's just do facility name. Yes. So now we can test this. We'll test it real quick. What it'll do is pull all 10 of them. When we actually do it the next time, it's not going to pull all 10 of them at first. It's going to pull. And then, okay, pulled all of them. Look at it. Yep, there we go. These look the same. Is there the same one? Yes, that's why. So there's all 10 of your things. Let's just kill these after each one, delete them all, just so we can show. Okay, so now we have done that. Now what we want to do is have it click here. Inspect. Oh, now it's pretty easy. It's the same thing except for it's TD nth child 1. And instead of saving the web element, we want to click it. So we click then, maybe somewhere. Click. But we want this as child 1. Okay, I like to use this, just cleans it up. Some people use this one. I like the right to left. Let's go ahead, see what it brings us. It's gonna look for the first one. It's gonna mess up after the first one, but there you go. It got us to where we wanted to be. It doesn't know what to do after this, and it'll be real confused. So we need to, then we have now clicked it. So we are now at this page. You go through the whole steps of what you're doing. Okay, we want the email. Just are like all the same. They're not they're not labeled, which is very annoying. So now they have some label actually. We can just pull this probably. We'll have to see. They're probably the same everywhere. Span of that. So all we have to do now, this one's pretty easy because all we have to do is save web element, that, and it was a span. Because we don't need a repeat on this. We need no repeat. We're only pulling one piece of data off this, not like a bunch of pieces of data for that. Or not like a loop of data, not like this person's email, then this person's email, and this person's. Okay, so what we're going to do, and actually we probably want to get the, it is kind of wacky because they have on 2 different lines here. They don't have this normally done like a regular person. So what we want to do here is get that A, because I'll just show you. I guess I could show you. This A, if we got that, it might work. We'd have to see what'll happen. It may not have that symbol in it. A, that's a span. Let's just see if we take the text of it. Span, okay. Email. Okay, the next thing we can do, and we need to do because it'll get caught up here. What we need to do now is, because we're still in the loop, we need to press return to search result so it goes back. So all we need to do Get the A ID of that and click it. Click A, B, that. Now it's going to go back. Let's see what it gives us. So you'll see it'll look like magic. Is pretty sweet. We might want to put a longer because it takes a little bit of time to go back. 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Let's just see what happens. Okay, now we'll come in here. Clicking there. It's got the information going there. Got that. It's gonna wait a minute. It actually goes really fast, so it's not a big deal. Go through there. I'm not even gonna wait for this because we can all see what it's doing. But so what happened is obviously aired it out because I got out of it. Now you have it did not pull that. You can see it did not like that here. It doesn't have the @ symbol, and that's because of how they have this done in a super weird way. So we want to go there, and instead of the I, we'll just pull the A, and we'll pull it as the A, but we'll instead of pulling they're pulling it as text. Let's just pull it as a link. So what it should give us now is the mail to, because that's actually what's there. So all we have to do, if we want to, we could do it again where we just deleted the mail to, or we can just split the text again and use that email. This should work. We'll have to look and see if it does. I always have times I think things are gonna work and it doesn't. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And this time we went the second, because the first part of it would be mail to. We don't want that. We actually want the .org to, and we put it in our email. And then we put it in between here because we want to split it and then go back. And then I press this. Then it's going to click. This one. Okay. I put a little bit less in here. It probably did not pull that email because you can see it pulled those correctly though. It just didn't get hers. It probably didn't. Probably did not have enough wait time, and that happens. So if you see something not pulling like that, check how long of wait time you have in there. This should be correct. If you're like, yeah, I know that's correct. Seems to be correct. Put a wait, and it does not wait before, it waits after. So if we want to wait to save this email, then on click web element, we need to put like a 2-second wait in here. And then it'll click the web element, wait 2 seconds, go to it. And I'm gonna make this a little faster, see if it'll work. Can't guarantee it, but we'll see. Let's run it through again. This should be a lot faster anyway. More. We'll let it go the whole time because I think it's working this time. Yeah, please, rubbish. A minute here. That finished. And then, yeah, I'll show you a little bit later. Let's see what we got. There we go. Now it worked. We got all of them. This makes sense. It's the same because it's the same. It's just number 1, number 2 for the daycare center. And we should be able to see that if we look there. I'm assuming, yeah, this one's going to be the same. Email or Ingram. So yeah, so there you are. That shows you how to pull a full list. In this case, it's a little different than some where I would get a full list normally and then go to the links. Because of the weird JavaScript, you need to go one at a time and go in, go out, go in, go out. And so that's why I've done it this way. Now, if you wanted to go up here, I'm not going to do that on this because we're already very long-winded here. You would do something like, you can have these things in here, okay, and what we'll do is we'll throw another start repeat in here, and this start repeat would be based on, there's more to it, but this start repeat would do some more things and then come down here and do it. So the first time it would go into the first one. Actually, it wouldn't even go to the first one. You could have it just press on it. There's nothing there to really press. But it would go to that, and then it would come over, so you'd have to have some other things in here to press it. Then it's going to come over here, do every one of these, all 10 of them. Then after that, it's going to repeat again, do the second one. That second one, you'll want it to press 2, and then do the same loop. So there you go. There's a lot learned in this and in today's how to use. There's a lot of things in here. Obviously, how to get selectors. I'll just real quick recap. Some of the biggest things we want to do: always right-click, inspect. A lot of times you want to inspect on the thing you want to get to, and then you can go up and down looking at where it is. You want to see what is the first thing that's a list. A lot of times lists will look like this. Boom, just that. So you know TR is the first of the list. Your console, if you do document, you go down to document. You can see that's the full document. Press right, dot, query, and then find selector all. And then I usually do like that. And then like that, TR. And then that is going to give you a list. You can push down, go on there. Loop index. So for this style, loop index is going to be that way. This is going to come at the very end. Loop index of 0 is going to be what's correct. For this style, you're going to put the loop index inside of there, and it can be anywhere on the list. Like it could be in here, it could be on this, however you want it. So it is a single one-based system, so it'll be loop index 1. We've also learned how start repeats work, that all they do is basically get a number. That number is how many times anything after it will repeat. So if you put in, if we had these 10, it was going to pull 10, and you only wanted to do 5 of the 10, you could just put 5. And then you could have it continue at the latest iteration. You could have this off and just do 5 yourself. The dynamic is only used for a table. So however many are in table. So after you pulled the table data, after I pulled this, then I could do something. Maybe it's go email this person. Maybe it's put this into something else, but it'll do each one one at a time. So that's a lot of what we learned. We learned about split text, how to use that. We learned about remove duplicates. We learned about format data. We didn't really do update data. That's a lot of what we did, but it's a huge amount. There are times when you need to use a keyboard action like an enter in case it's really hard to press a button with the CSS. We also learned about insert text and data right there, and obviously open link, which starts pretty much everything. For the most part, we start things there. So that is a huge overview of it, and two very kind of different circumstances, but understanding how their loops work, where you have one that did it within oddly rows. You don't see this very often. Odd that it has the row and then your single one inside of it, so it makes it kind of difficult. But that's the one we do the after the nth equals. And then when you have ones that just pull a full list like this, then we can do the one that is nth equals, though I usually do the nth child. It doesn't matter on that as much. So hope this was helpful, and sorry it was so long-winded, but I try to be as good as possible and get as much information out there as I can. So thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know if there's anything else you need.